Hello, everybody. Oh, gosh. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Good evening to the Lone Star, the, the Cold War Prepper. And this is our last Thursday of the month fiction book club. Tell you another phenomenal book by Ross and Kirkham. This is Travelers, book 2 in that series that they have, the Black Autumn series. Now, remember, this is the book. Black Autumn is the book that they used as a basis for the Homestead movie. Now, they took some liberalities with it. The actual homestead in all the books is in an eastern valley of Salt Lake City, not in Colorado. But I tell you, and these guys are affiliated with the Black Rifle Coffee Company, and that's also headquartered in Colorado. I'm sorry, in Salt Lake City. You're going to find a lot of conflict between the protagonists in these series and different forms of the LDS Church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And in this one in particular, there's a lot of conflict with fundamentalist liberal Latter-day Saints in comparison to the first book, where, remember in the first book or in the movie, they were confronted by the mayor of the town who wants to come in and wants to take everything over and distribute it to all the people in the city. Well, that in the first book is actually the local warden, the bishop of that ward, right there in the area where they live, rather than the city mayor. So, those are the implications that are always constantly going on, this battle between secularism versus the church. And so that's going to be a constant, I believe, throughout this entire series, is secularism versus the church. The other portion of it is this guy or these guys, I should say, do a phenomenal job of presenting moral dilemmas that really puts you in a perspective and say, if we're going to survive this crap when it happens, we've got to have our minds together, because we're going to be presented with some dilemmas that we have to be able to say, this is the moral conclusion that I'm making, and these are the justifications why. So, that's, I think that's going to be something that we're going to constantly be challenged with in all of their books. And that is, how do we manage this? How do we survive in a world where the rules have changed and yet still maintain our dignity, our own personal limitations, and, what is it? What causes us to go on? So just phenomenal books. I absolutely love them. I want to finish this entire series. There's a total of 10 books. Basically, the first one is where everything focuses in Utah. Books 2, 3, and 4 are 3 different sets of characters in each book. And then 5, 6, and 7 are also those 3 same characters. A repeat of 2, 3, 4, kind of, building on that. And then they finally all come back together in 10. The characters don't all get melded together until about book 9, but you're going to see how everything kind of comes together. But this is building up individual groups of people. In this book, we've got 3 sets of people. We've got Sage Ross, who is in let's call it the Seattle-Tacoma Peninsula area. And so he is a member of the Ross family. SHTF happens. He's got to get home. Thank goodness for all the stuff that his dad taught him about foraging, hunting, camping, and everything else. And we go through his dilemma trying to get home. Then we have another family member and his wife down in the LA area in Port Angeles. No, I'm sorry, in Anaheim. Cameron, his wife Julie, and the boys who are trying to make it up to Salt Lake City as well. And they have a different set of encounters, trying to leave LA, of course, the traffic jams that are going on and everything else, crossing the desert, all kinds of challenges there. So each group has a separate, different set of challenges that they're going to encounter as they're going home. Then the last one is not a member of the family, and this is going to be Matt Best. He's a Ranger, 2nd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment. And but soldiers like to consider ourselves conquerors of women. And so he's got one of his latest conquerors in his apartment with him when he finds out that the world has gone to heck. And so, but this one is kind of different. This one he's kind of taken a love interest in. And so, he wants to save her. He wants to be the shining white knight for her. And so they are now leaving Maryland and by way of Kentucky, trying to get to Salt Lake City. Why? Because Matt was the ranger that Ross hired to help his daughter get everything set up in a rental facility, so that they could then take that equipment and head west if anything happened. So this rental facility, and it goes into great detail, it has all kinds of great prepping items in it, has 2 motorcycles, which become very important later on in the story, all kinds of fuel, ammunition, weapons, you name it. There's a prepper's dream in this locker. Matt has a Raptor, a Ford Raptor, and that gets destroyed later on in the book, but we'll get into all that here shortly. Let me tell you, I love these books. But now for some really good news before I greet everybody. I've been in contact with John Grammer, and his book 3 is out, and his book 4 is coming out in August. And so he and I were chatting, and I've got his newest book, book 3, that's out already, is listed in the show notes down below. So you can get his book, read it, and then send me an email, coldwarprepper@outlook.com, with any questions you might have, comments, observations, or anything else about book 3. And we will pose those to him when he's on with us live the last Thursday of May. And I think that's May 29th. You can check me on that and make sure that I'm kind of up to date on that. Let's go in and check in with everybody that I've seen. I've seen Utah Mike, Sue Me, Kaylin Strain. Good evening. Welcome, Little Lone Prepper. I hope I said Sue Me. Laura Mannion, good evening. Good to see you as well. Butch Graves, Holly Ivans, and Tuck by V1, good evening. Good to see you. Let me see if there's anybody else new. The Watchman, good evening. That's a nice name to see. Thank you. And thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoy it and stay with us on a regular basis. Let me see who else. Demand 50. Well, thank you, sir. Greatly appreciate you being here, and thank you for the kind words. I've got a link here that I'll put it in the comments again. But this is a 3-minute short that inspired me as a result of reading this book, and we'll get into it later. But basically, how do you take care of road rash? How do you take care of a very serious abrasion? And we'll talk about that, because it causes major problems in the book. Patty's Garden, good evening. Welcome. Good to see you. And Pete, Triple G Farms, good evening, buddy. Hey, I'm sorry, I chickened out. We went to Walmart. Gosh, when was that? I think that was Tuesday. My first time out of the house since the surgery. And just even a half hour walking around Walmart, pushing the cart. I had a rough time Tuesday evening, so Wednesday morning, maybe that was Monday. It was Monday. And then Tuesday morning, I said, no, there's no way I can go on this 2-museum tour, one to Salado and the other one up to Killeen, to the Mounted Military Museum, I guess it's called, but it's basically the history of mounted warfare for the U.S. Army. And we were going to have lunch at Johnny's Barbecue and Steakhouse in Salado. Well, I'm still on a liquid diet, so I can't do that. And but just walking around Walmart, pushing a cart for half an hour Monday evening convinced me we needed to call and cancel. So I dropped out of those. So I was not up in your area as I had planned to be, but we sure do need to get together again. James Carroll, good evening. Good to see you. Welcome for joining us. Okay. So these 3 different, let me go through I love these books where I learn a lot. Okay. And so I've got all kinds of wonderful things tabbed. There's all kinds of great information in these books. Besides the moral dilemmas, there's all kinds of great stuff that for you to learn. And so that's going to be really, really important. Watchman says, they say it takes 30 days for a tanker to get across from China. So even if they fix the problem, there'll be a large gap before they can resume. I am quite positive of that. I think we've got a problem that we're going to have to be prepared for. Make sure you prep up now. The one that kind of has me scared right now is the India-Pakistan border clash that's going on. Then we have Israel, Iran, Israel, Syria. We have, of course, Russia continues. They've done a lot heavier bombing of Kyiv, and so here we are trying to negotiate peace, and they're bombing the crap out of it. It was announced today that U.S. military stockpiles are ammunition supply. Now, when we say ammunition, we're not talking about 5.56, 7.62, and 9mm. That we can handle that. What we're talking about are 105s, 155s, MLRS, 203s, the what else? Shoulder-fired anti-aircraft missiles, the shoulder-fired or man-portable anti-tank missiles, all those things. We've been sending those over to Ukraine, and we have got our stockpiles down to where if we engage in a war tomorrow of the same level of kinetic fighting that is going on in Ukraine, Russia right now, then we only have 1 week's worth of artillery ammunition available to us. So we've got to either quit sending it abroad and make more, or make a whole bunch more, like World War II footing. But and then China, of course, and what's going on in the West. China's on the verge of economic collapse. So we will see. Things are challenging, unbelievable. So one of the things I like here is they're talking about Sage. Sage is the one who's part of the family. He's up in the Seattle area. He uses a black trash bag, the contractor trash bag, to cover all of his weapons and everything else to protect them from the humidity and the rust and all that kinds of stuff. Great thing. James Carroll, good evening. Welcome. And Gil, like number 8. Thank you, Gil. Great to see you, my friend. I do like being back on Monday nights so that I can be over on your channel on Monday evenings before this one. So thank you for that. Let me see. He talks about this is in Henderson, Nevada, the Ross home. They have several boxes of freeze-dried stuff, and this is the other Ross home. This is Cameron, Julie, and the boys. Okay, so they've got several boxes of freeze-dried foods on this garage sales. Alongside with the food, they found chlorine-preserved water in big square jugs, a bounty of canned goods, weird stuff like canned olives and refried beans, and dozen bottles of good wine. So all this stuff becomes important. So all these little ideas that they give you throughout the book on different things to have for your preparedness. I was watching there's this fantastic German eating YouTube channel called Schnell Lecker, which means fast and tasty. And so anyhow, I like watching her videos, and she uses an awful lot of whole egg. She uses an awful lot of wine. There's a lot of things that she uses in her recipes that caused me to order another, and this will be in my haul, but another package of whole egg powder. And then I picked up another couple bottles of wine. I used to be strictly white wine when I was in Germany because I can read a German label and know exactly what it's going to taste like. I've transitioned over to where I'm mostly red now. So and it talks about, the gasoline in the garage has stable in it, an entire case of 223 ammunition. The only thing I don't like about this guy is he keeps calling AR-15s assault rifles. AR-15 is a sporting rifle, not an assault rifle. I'm in the military. If you hand me an AR-15 and tell me to go to battle with it, I'm going to tell you to kiss my royal behind. I am not going to use a single shot semi-automatic weapon in combat. I am going to prefer to have something that has either a 3-round burst, an assault weapon, or a full automatic capability, an M4 carbine or an M16 rifle. I am not going to use an AR-15 in an assault role. I wish they would get over this calling AR-15 assault rifles. It feeds right into the liberal lunacy, and it upsets me. Guys, get your terminology straight. He talks about Kimber 45 ACP with 5 mags and 4 boxes of shells, but Cameron would also keep his Beretta 9mm. Yeah, and that makes sense. I will tell you, I just saw one today, God, Family, and Guns. He's a pastor out of Missouri. He does a lot of stuff about guns. The number one most popular gun in the United States right now is, once again, the M1911 frame. So the 45 caliber pistol is back to being the number one pistol in demand, which is, for a while there, it was the Glock 19. I think what a lot of people didn't understand was the Glock 19 really doesn't have the safety devices. M1911A1 has the manual safety. It has the grip safety. It's got all kinds of safeties built into it. So I really prefer the M1911A1. Plus, it's what I qualified in with the Army. Talks about how he took a couple metal drums, turned them into a water purification system. That's on page 134. So if you get to that page, you can basically make your own gravity-fed water purification system. Here on page 137, Sage is once again talking about traps, and he's how to set traps and snares and everything else, because he talks about the inefficiency of hunting. I think there's a lot of people who really don't have any outdoor experience, who think they're going to hunt for all their food, and it's not going to happen. Sage also later on becomes really good at helping them forage for things, because there's this group of hippie Starbucks coffee? Yeah, Starbucks coffee employees come in and they get together, and he kind of takes a fancy to one of the girls. But so he's going out finding wild onions and cooking wild onions for them. But so those skills become extremely important. And he talks about the importance of those in this book, which I really admire. So you want to have foraging capabilities. Learn foraging before it's too late. Learn how to trap. Learn how to snare. Learn how to trap fish. You don't want to stand on the side of a bank with a fishing rod in your hand for 12 hours a day to catch enough food to feed 3 people. Total waste of time. Also consider the amount of carbs that you're going to have to expend in order to collect the amount of food. Will the food replace the number of carbs that you're expending in order to collect it? So be very, very cautious of that. An animal is 1,000 times more adept in the wild than you are, his dad taught him. I remember, this is the dad who's in Salt Lake City. For you to take an animal's life is on its own turf. The animal has to make huge mistakes. In a sense, the animal has to make a decision to allow you to kill it. And that is so true. People don't understand that. We live in our own purified world. We have, chickens and cattle and pigs that are led to slaughterhouses. We don't get involved in that at all. We just go to the grocery store and pick it up. Okay. Whereas if you are the one who is having to track it down, determine where to set the trap, determine where to set the snare, a lot more of a challenge. And so that becomes almost a full-time job, just feeding yourself and your family. This is one of the things that he puts extremely eloquently, and I think it's one of those reasons why I really am not a bug out type of guy. But listen to the way he puts this. I think it's so well written. Every few miles. Okay, that's the part I have highlighted. Let me back up and put it in place. Cameron remembered, my brother and I rode motorcycles up there with my dad. We went to visit my sister in Salt Lake City. The roads are good, but what worries me are the little towns along the way. See, every few miles, there's one town after another, all the way up Highway 89. I'll bet most of them have set up roadblocks by now. trying to keep the city slickers from Vegas and Phoenix out of their yards. You drive through enough towns like that, and you're going to hit one that won't let you through. Or maybe they'll steal your supplies and leave you alone in the cold. And I think that's one of the main things people don't understand is not everybody's bugging out. Some of us are hunkering down. And the people who are hunkering down are going to fortify the areas that they're in to protect themselves from the people who are coming in, that golden horde, and trying to take over. I see yo-yos being mentioned. Yes, absolutely. You can get those on Amazon, by the way. Let me see. And people don't realize it, but you can get speed loaders. So I have a Ruger Security 6, which is a 357 Magnum. That was the very first pistol I purchased way back. Gosh, I want to say in the 70s. And but I have speed loaders for it. So police officers used to wear the speed loaders as 6 rounds, and you just put it in. You empty out the chambers. These line up. Push this little silver button at the end. Loads all 6 mags or all 6 rounds. Back, flip it back, and you've got it in. I have 3 speed loaders for my 357. One of those speed loaders, by the way, is full of CCI snake shot. So it turns your 357 Magnum into a shotgun, 357 Magnum shotgun. I think the net's going to be one of the wisest things you can do there, little lone prepper. I do like that, and you can set that up. The Boy Scout manual has a really good example of how to do that. You can use sticks and net and build a trap on the stream. Just leave it and go. Another thing you might want to consider are trot lines. So you can go to Academy, take a look at trot lines. If you drink milk in the half-gallon jugs, then you can use the milk jugs as your buoyancy jugs to hold the trot line up, and then your hooks go down into the water, and you can use that and catch an awful lot of fish as well. Okay, next one I have highlighted. He found extra mags for the AKs, 2-way radios, freeze-dried food, a water purifier, and a couple quarts of water. He even discovered an extra jet boil and 2 spare canisters. I don't have a jet boil. I kind of in a way I wish I did, but I don't. And the reason I'm not buying one now is because, gosh, I've got 1, 2, 3. I've got 4 different kinds of gases that I'm storing for different types of stuff. And then if I added a jet boil, it'd just be a 5th one. I don't want to do that. But I tell you what, they really do look like something that would be very good to have, especially if you're on the move. Let me see. The next one is he recommends the amazing sleeping bag from Western Mountaineering. And then this last one. So somewhere in his career in the Army, he had been trained in trauma first aid by an 18 Delta medical sergeant. So 18 series of Special Forces, 18 Delta is a medical sergeant. The old-timer had drilled into their heads the fundamentals of a first aid kit: antiseptics, antidiarrheals, anti-inflammatories, and antibiotics. So all the antis. He had a few ibuprofens and 4 alcohol wipes. Watch this video that I have on here. I've got a whole bunch of stuff. I put together my abrasion kit. And so that's basically just for that kind of stuff. You're also going to need forceps and a way to sterilize those. You're going to need a face mask to protect yourself as you're irrigating the wound so that splatter doesn't get up into your face and your eyes and everything else. Make sure you have sterile gloves on. 2 reasons: to protect the patient as well as to protect you from their bodily fluids. You want to make sure you have something that you can cover them with so you're not getting any kinds of stuff coming down on top of them. You also want to protect them from the ground. So if there's water on the ground, you want to elevate them above that. Try to get them out of that unsanitary type of an environment when you're working on them. So a lot of different things you have to take into consideration when you're handling somebody in a filthy environment. Even a small wound can become life-threatening. So make sure you have everything well planned out, well thought out. What are you going to do to control infection in a post-apocalyptic world? What Matt really needed was a fresh toothbrush to scrub away the skin that had impacted into the wound, now trapped in a huge scar with like a chocolate chip, with all the chocolate chips. So that's kind of some of the secrets in there. Let's get into the 3 different things that are going on. Cameron, let me catch up with the. Oh wow, Utah was on Highway 89 2 weeks ago. So is that the Colorado River, like Nevada, Arizona, Colorado River, or is that the Texas Colorado River? Let me see here. I'm working on a decision matrix. There's a lot of things that go into whether or not you should vacate. I'm going to say, however, I'm 95% of the time I'm going to stay put. And absolutely, trot lines are the way to go. I agree with that. Oh wow, James, way to go! Yeah, mine's a blued one, so mine's blued. Um, yes, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. You when you're irrigating a wound, if you have something if you have water under pressure and it kind of backflows, you don't want to get that up in your eyes or in your face. Yeah, absolutely. So make sure you have a face shield. Make sure you have gloves. Make sure you're taking care of getting as clean a site for that patient as possible. Um, so where were we? Oh, Cameron and Julie and the boys. So they leave Anaheim out California. They're having a rough time getting out because of they first make it to Las Vegas. That's where I read to you his family members' house that they go to, and they were preppers, and they had got all kinds of stuff out of the um, house that they were going to take with them as they made their way up to Salt Lake City. They run into the fundamentalist LDS camp on the border on Highway 89 between, I think was it Henderson? No, it's not Henderson. I forget the name of the 2 towns, but they're on the Arizona-Utah border. And so, he runs into problems there. And basically what happens is they've cordoned off the town. As they approach, the car gets shot up. Cameron gets shot, and he wakes up in a makeshift hospital run by the fundamentalist LDS. They've taken possession of his wife and given her to the prophet, the local prophet, and the children are now going to become slaves for the group. Cameron gets well. All the things he goes through to try to free his family and children. And thank God, it looks like he has a little bit of army experience because he kind of Rambos it for a while. Really exciting story about how he Rambos it. At the end of the book, he and his wife and his wife and 2 kids are running ahead of him. He's following up behind them. It appears that at some future point, they're probably going to get out of there and catch up with each other. I am not so sure. Things take twists. In these books, they take twists. The second one, Port Angeles, Sage. Sage goes up into this canyon where he's trying to camp out until kind of think of it as after the die off. So he's waiting for people to kind of calm down, the panic to subside and everything else. He's up in this canyon, passes a farmer's house. The farmer says, "What are you doing on my property?" He says, "I'm just going to go up to the lake for a bit. My dad and I used to fish up there and all this kinds of stuff." So he goes up there, and the farmer says, "Not for long." Okay. They're only a couple miles off of a freeway, off a major road. Justifiably, the farmer's concerned about too many people coming off that highway up towards his farm. Well, a short time thereafter, this car comes up and it's got Justin, one other guy, and 2 or 3 girls. And so they don't know what they're doing, but they took all the sandwiches, all the biscotti, all the coffee out of the Starbucks they were working at, loaded up the car, and they bugged out. They have a tent, they have a couple of small camping supplies, and they're down below where Cameron has all his stuff hidden. So now he's going to go down. He likes one of the girls, and he's going to try to strike up a relationship. Justin is in charge. He's a real hippie type. Doesn't like Sage interfering with his little tryst, and because he's kind of the kingfisher there. But Sage is showing him how to do things and feeding him and taking care of him. So finally, they kind of split up. What happens is Justin wants to go down and steal food from the farmer, and so Sage sneaks out, goes and lets the farmer know that Sage and the group are going to come down and try to steal from them and everything else. They have a little battle. Justin gets run off, and Sage stays there with the farmer. And then later on, exactly what the farmer predicted, that golden horde from the highway comes. Well, who's leading that golden horde? This is one of those dilemmas. Do you kill somebody when you have the opportunity, knowing that they are bad, or do you wait for them to do something worse to justify whether or not you take them out? The whole conflict there with the Starbucks crew and Sage is, do I take this guy out? I mean, this guy is really a problem. He's trouble looking for a place to happen. And so do I take him out now, or what do I do? And so he lets him go. And of course, it comes back as a bigger problem. So that's this constant thing that happens 2 or 3 times throughout the book. Do I do this now? Do I shoot him in the back? What do I do? Can you do something bad in order to accomplish a greater good? Is the moral dilemma that I see as being forced on Sage at this point. So yeah, Watchmen, that's part of the problem that the Starbucks crew comes up with and says, oh yeah, that's the name of the city. Thank you, Gil. Thank you, Colorado City. Yes, and that's when he talks about where the LDS fundamentalists have the town, have that little area cordoned off and control the access in and out. So then Sage does his thing, and then he's still trying to get to the Ross compound. So he's coming in from the northwest. You've got Cameron and his family coming in from the southwest. Let's make it our way back over to Matt, who's coming in from Maryland with his new love, Caroline. So they're making it. He's in his Raptor. They're pulling the trailer. They get close to Louisville, and she wants to stop and check on her parents. And he says, I'm not going to go in there at night. We'll go in there during the daytime. We got to reconnoiter, see how things are. I don't want to take a chance running in to something that's bad. We need to find out what we're going into. We can't be we can't just run in. We have to do this in a logical way. This is his Ranger way of thinking. Gather intelligence before taking action. It's the OODA loop. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, OODA. Gosh, what is OODA? Observe, orient, decide, and act. You can't just act first. You've got to take some. You've got to make some observations and some orientations. What are the capabilities? Where are the threats? What's the most likely way for me to get in and get out safely? All this kinds of stuff. So he kind of postpones it for a day. Then he goes in the next day, and that ends up being a deadly decision. And Carolyn's family is not alive when he gets there. But her brother is. Her brother's name is William, and so is William's dog. So now the 4 of them are together. They try to leave Louisville. They go back and try to get the Raptor and the motorcycles, and so they're heading west. The Raptor gets shot up trying to cross a bridge. And they go back, dump the Raptor, get on the motorcycles. Of course, Caroline has never ridden a motorcycle in her life. She doesn't know that this is the clutch, this is the gas, this is the front brake. Right foot is the rear brake. Left foot is the gear shift. 1 down is first gear, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So up to 4 upwards for the left foot. So what Matt does is he says, we're just going to put you in 2nd gear. So you go to neutral, one click up with the left foot is 2nd gear. You can start out in 2nd gear. I started out in 2nd gear quite a bit, but you have to give it lots of gas. So their maximum speed, because she didn't know how to change gears. Okay, she's got. Imagine trying to learn how to ride a bicycle. let alone a motorcycle. And you're coordinating because every hand and foot is doing something: gas, brake, throttle, clutch, gear shift, brake. It's complicated. So you're trying to do it. She's doing 15 miles an hour, probably the max you can do on a motorcycle in second gear. And then they stop. She stops, loses control, dumps the bike, ends up with road rash on her leg. And it just, let me tell you, I've had a couple motorcycle dumps. They are not pleasant at all. As a matter of fact, I had a motorcycle accident on Rim Road in El Paso, and I broke my arm, broke my girlfriend's leg. The muffler landed on her and burnt her other leg. She was supposed to compete in state championship for tennis the week after that, and she was unable to because of the injuries. But anyhow, I know what motorcycle accidents can do. I know what happens to people when they're in them. And so he does his best. That's that studying from the 18 Delta, trying to take care of the wound with his limited first aid kit. Hello, Joe. Welcome. Good to see you. And so he's trying to take care of this as best he can. The only thing he's got for sanitation basically are 4 alcohol wipes. So that's why you want to view this video. Get some ideas on some things you need to have in your first aid kit. Now, not only do you need to have the things that you're going to use to irrigate the wound, that is, wash out any debris. You may need forceps to pull out larger pieces of debris. You're going to need saline wash. You're going to need antibiotics, topical antibiotics. You're going to need gauze. You're going to need all kinds of different things. And then in some cases, as the case here, she develops gaseous gangrene. And so in the case here, it would be very advantageous for you to have some oral antibiotics as well. Probably an IV, something like Rocephin, but I don't think anybody's going to have any Rocephin out on the streets for anything like this. Let me tell you, that stuff hurts so bad that they mix it with lidocaine. And if they give it to you IM, I've had it twice. I almost lost my right leg. But they gave me Rocephin IM. They mix it with lidocaine so that it can reduce the amount of pain when it's given to you IM, intramuscular, shot in the butt. I passed out both times that I got that shot, that I got those shots from the pain. When they give it to you IV, they just mix it with normal saline. It goes into your vein, no pain whatsoever. But nobody's going to have Rocephin unless you're in a hospital setting or an urgent care clinic or something like that. So you're going to have to do with what you have, right? And so probably what you're going to have is, if you have a JACE case, if you have contingency medical case, something like that, then you're going to have some good oral antibiotics, systemic antibiotics. Don't forget the importance of those topical antibiotics and the cleansing solutions that you're going to need in order to keep that wound clear and clean and keep it from getting any kind of infection. So sterile saline water. I like, Neomed is the name of the company, I believe. And it's a big 16-ounce squirt bottle. The reason I like that squirt bottle is because I can adjust the pressure of the water by the handle. If I do it real quick, it's got a high pressure stream. If I do it slow, it's kind of just flushing it out a little bit. But I like that because I can control the pressure. Then you want to have plenty of 3x3s or 4x4s. In my opinion, there's not a first aid kit in the United States that has enough 3x3, 4x4, and triangular bandages. Those are the things you're going to really, really go through. Make sure you have alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, wet wipes, hand sanitizer. Just get yourself a good antibacterial first aid kit to handle small wounds, cuts, abrasions, and things like that. So anyhow, things end up kind of bad, but that's Matt convinced me that I needed to have a good first aid kit to take care of road rash and other things. So that's kind of where we are in the book. Let me catch up with the chat and let's see where we are there. And oh, that's great. Fantastic idea. Thank you for sharing that, Little Lone Prepper. Great idea. So Watchman says you can focus either on fish, water, or go to the Hassan pfeffer. Well, pfeffer is pepper, and Hassan is rabbit. So I guess the rabbit farm is what you're saying? Raise rabbits? Am I interpreting that correctly? Well, the way I got into motorcycles, believe it or not, was back in 1967. Yamaha sponsored my Explorer post in Boy Scouts. And we did a 1-year study with the El Paso Police Department on motorcycle safety. So it was 1 year. We spent like 2 or 3 hours every weekend on motorcycles, motorcycle safety, classroom, learning environment and everything else. And so anyhow, as a result of that year-long study, the El Paso Police Department presented it to the Texas Department of Public Safety. And then 3 years later, they passed a law that required a separate license for motorcycles because they saw the difference in the accident and injury rates once a person was trained how to ride a motorcycle versus untrained people just being able to use any driver's license and get on a motorcycle. As a matter of fact, at that time, in pre-1971 or 72, if you were over 14, and even if you didn't have a driver's license, you could drive a 5 brake horsepower motorcycle on the roads in Texas with a legal registration. So like a Yamaha 125 met that need. So you didn't have to have a license for that. Absolutely. Yeah, and I want to urge everybody, if you hear of a first aid class, take it. Take it. Now is the time to study this stuff. Red Cross has some good classes. The American College of Emergency Physicians runs some fantastic classes. CERT has some fantastic classes. Department of Homeland Security has some classes. The best class I've ever taken, first aid wise, is one called Stop the Bleed. And the local group here in Austin had a Stop the Bleed class last week, and it was done as a courtesy to the local neighborhood. They did it for free. It was a 4-hour Stop the Bleed class, and it teaches you basically how to pack wounds and put pressure on arterial bleeds. Just a fantastic class. I strongly recommend. Having the equipment is great, but knowing how to use it's greater. I think you need both of those. And oh no, Holly. Oh gosh, that's terrible. I think I'm going to agree with you, and I'm going to put a caveat in that, slight caveat, and that is, I think there's a lot of people that think they're doing enough and haven't studied things like first aid, foraging, trapping, snaring. The example I give is I think there's I've got a neighbor. When it happens, I'm just going to hunt. I've got a shotgun. I'm just going to hunt. Okay. Have you ever shot quail? Okay. Quail come through here 2 weeks in the summer. I'm sorry, in the spring, 2 weeks in the fall. So you got to get your year's worth of quail in those 2 weeks or 4 weeks. It ain't going to happen. Okay. If you're a perfect shot and hit one, or dove is probably a better example. When the dove come through, and that's about a 3 week each time. If you're a perfect shot and you hit one every time you pull the trigger, I don't know about you, but it takes 2 or 3 dove to make a meal for me, one meal. Okay. So now family of 4, now I'm going to need 8 to 12 dove every day for one meal for my family. Okay. Now, so I'm going to have to get a lot more than that during that 3 week period if I plan to make it last for 6 months until the next cycle where they come through. And So then now let's do the math. Okay. Let's say you need 12 dove a day for one meal a day for each member of your family. So what is 12 times 365? You're a perfect shot. You never miss. 12 shots a day times 365 shots a year. Let me get my calculator going here. 12 times 365. You need 4,380 shotgun shells to feed your family for a year. If the quail or the pheasant or the dove decide to hang around long enough for you to shoot at them. So yeah, I think Theoxorus, you and I are in agreement. I think what it is lack of knowledge. People think that they have. I don't know what it is with some of the preppers I'm seeing nowadays. They read one book, they see a video, and all of a sudden they're experts. And it's just not enough curiosity, not enough asking. The 5 whys, the depth of why does this happen? Well, why does that happen? Well, why does that happen? And get down to the root core cause of it and say, what is it that I really need to understand? Can I grow something in my backyard? And I keep saying this. What's his name? Eric in Epic Gardening is a fantastic YouTube channel. He decided to plant nothing but wheat in his backyard down in San Diego one year. And his entire backyard filled with wheat gave him enough wheat where he could make 1.5 loaves of bread. So I think people quite often they think I can do this. 1 or 2 loaves of bread a day out of my backyard of wheat is not going to happen. Okay. Same thing with corn. And so I don't think people have really investigated. They haven't talked to farmers. They haven't experienced people that really know what they're talking about as far as prepping. And, then we start taking a look at some of the other people who are going to be around the Golden Horde, trying to take from you and things like that. And you're going to have all kinds of moral dilemmas there. Do you shoot people to protect your family, or do you shoot people to protect the food for your family and thereby indirectly protect your family? Those are going to become some extremely critical moral issues that you're going to have to decide ahead of time. I made a statement in a video quite a while back, and people said, well, that's not moral. That's immoral. What I said was, when it happens, if it's a traumatic event, okay, and in this book, basically what happens is Filipinos have a nuke in a sailboat. They're in Los Angeles Harbor. They light the nuke in Los Angeles Harbor. You've got a nuke. It takes out the power. Then there's this catastrophic domino effect throughout the country. Okay, so that has happened. And where was I going with that? So all of a sudden, I'm going to be like everybody else. I'm going to be out in the backyard. I'm going to grill all the stuff in my freezer, and I'm going to make it look like I'm trying to survive. And then maybe some canned goods. We'll probably be out there with my neighbors maybe the first week. But what I'm going to do is, at the end of that first week, I've got some clothes I bought at Goodwill, okay? And they're a size larger than what I normally wear. I'm going to change into those clothes. I'm going to make it look like I'm losing weight because I'm not eating properly, okay? So everybody in my family is going to automatically start losing weight appearance-wise because of the clothing we're wearing. Now, I've got blackout curtains I'm going to put up all over the house. Nobody's going to see the lights at night. No, I'm not going to do any cooking of anything that has an odor. It's only going to be boiling water and adding it to things like Mountain House or Peak. What's Peak? Kaylin knows, I'm sure. MREs. There are some foods that Thrive Life has that you just add boiling water to, and that becomes a meal. So those kinds of things where all you're doing is adding hot water to a package, that's how we're going to eat probably for the next 3 to 4 weeks. While that's happening, everybody else is running out of food and they're dying off, okay? Then afterwards, then I can start cooking, and I'll share with any survivors around me. And people say, well, wait a minute, that's immoral. You could have saved all those other people. No, there's 200 houses in my neighborhood. Okay, let's say average of 4 people per house. That's 800 people. How far will what I have feed 800 people? Now, if at the end of that month, there's say 5 households of people, 20 people, do you think my food might keep those 20 people alive for couple months, until something happens, or a couple weeks, that food will have a lot better chance of keeping a small group of people alive for a longer period of time than a larger group of people, and who may want what I have anyway and try to take it from me because they don't like the idea that I'm rationing it. So, those are the moral dilemmas that you're going to have to face. And those are the moral dilemmas that he constantly poses in these books. And I think that you have to address those. You have to think about those. Oh, man, Utah Mike, I am so jealous. Absolutely true. And so I don't know if you noticed it or not, but we buy two different kinds of canned chicken. We buy Costco canned chicken for us, and we buy Walmart canned chicken for the Chihuahuas. So my plan is I've got 3 of those pedigree. I think there's 48 pouches per package. And so we take one of those pouches and spread it over their dry dog food every day. So I've got 3 of those. So that's 120 plus 24, 148 pouch a day's worth of food there. And then we've got the Caesar's pâtés, and I give half of one of those to the two dogs, and one dog doesn't have any teeth. I give her a full one all of her own, and that's on Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. And so that's going to last me, I've got 3 of those boxes. So that's going to last me another 48, 50 days. And so I've probably got a year's worth of food. I've got a whole bunch of canned food for the girls. But beyond that, it's going to be rice and chicken. So in there, among all this other stuff, I'm going to feed them chicken and rice. I've also started adding cans of sweet potatoes. So my girls, my Chihuahuas, are going to get sweet potatoes, chicken, and rice primarily. And probably some tuna. Yes, and if you don't subscribe to them, please subscribe to them. Get everything they have written and add that to your library. They've got a couple of phenomenal books. They also sell pre-assembled first aid kits. They are not inexpensive. But remember that triangle. I tell everybody about the prepper's triangle. So you've got cost, you've got convenience, and then and speed, and then you've got quality. Okay, you can only have 2 of the 3 at any one time. So if you want it quick, fast, and inexpensive, it's going to take you. If you want it quick, fast, and inexpensive, let me see, quick and fast, it's not going to be that good. Okay, if you want it slow and good, you can do that over time with buying your things. But so you can spend a lot of money and get a quality first aid kit, or you can take a look at the contents of that and pick it up on your own over time. Everything depends upon where do you think we are in the timeline. If you think we're getting close to where you're going to need it, I would spend the money and get the pre-made first aid kit. If you think you've got time until you're going to need it, then take a look at what they have as far as contents and build it yourself. Either way is good with me. I'm fine. I built my own bug out bag. I started it in 1980 when I was at Goodfellow Air Force Base in San Angelo, Texas. Kept it with me. I had it as a get-home bag when I was working up in Waco for the power company, and it got stolen out of the back of my car. I felt naked. I needed another one. So I used that triangle. I made my decision. I'm just going to go ahead and spend the money, and I bought an Echo Sigma bug out bag, and that's what I have as a get-home bag. So I still have that bag now. And have I done the same thing to it that I did to the other one I started in 1980? Upgraded, swapped out, improved, thrown things out, traded things out? Absolutely. It doesn't matter whether you're going to do it yourself or you're going to buy somebody else's. You're going to constantly upgrade and move things around and find something you want in lieu of something else. And that's another one of those dilemmas that they talk about in here, is when Matt has to move everything from the Raptor to the 2 motorcycles. Now all of a sudden you have to go through all your supplies, all these nice prepper things that you have. You say, how do I prioritize these? What will I need? What's going to be most important to me? Some I've got to leave behind. I don't have the space to carry them. Some of them are going to be essential. How do you make those decisions? And that's another one of those good talking points, causes you to think, how am I going to do that? Take care, Pete. I'm sure that you left before I had a chance to say goodbye, but always appreciate seeing you. If I were going to say, what would I like to have as a job right now? I'd like to have a horse ranch. I would like to have some of the old and current Amish style implements, plows, harrows, grass cutters, and things like that. They can be horse drawn. I would like to have somebody with me who can, a good farrier, a good leather crafter. I mean, all the things that were standard in our country 100 years ago right now. I mean, if you take a look at the Nazi divisions in World War II, do you realize that 50% of the Nazi army in World War II was horse-drawn? They used horses and wagons, and that's how they moved their armies. And that's only 100 years ago. Look at the progress we've made and the loss of what we're going to need in the future. Peak refuel. Thank you, Kaylin. I told you, Kaylin straightens me out half the time. Pumpkin. Good idea. Yeah. And that's in that sweet potato family too. Leslie said, welcome, Leslie. Leslie says that her local fire department offers both stop the bleed and CPR. Both are essential. Absolutely. Okay, Gil, before you go, or Kaylin, either one, if you would be kind enough to put the link for Gil's live that comes on right after this one, then I would encourage everybody to go over there and follow Gray Man Prepping Gil with his live this evening. Kaylin agrees with me that we've built our own and kind of added to it. Mine are in different. I need to standardize the tubs. This is my abrasion tub, and then the one underneath. Well, the one underneath of it's kind of a combination of abrasion and wound closure. So I'm going to be doing the wound closure short probably tomorrow, and we'll see if we can't get that done tomorrow. Okay. I'm jealous. Yep. That is a great skill. Oh, thank you, Let Alone Prepper. Okay, so everybody, we're going to close down here and send you all over to Gray Man Prepping and Gil. And this was a fantastic book. Please make sure you read it. The link for the next book is in the description. Make sure you get that, read it, send me an email with any questions, comments, or concerns you might have about John Grammer's newest book called Exodus. And we'll have him on here to discuss his new book with us on, I think it's May 29th. Let me check here. Yes, May 29th. Okay. Take care, everybody. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.